All right, take one. Dave Birch, American Dirtbagger.
John Burkle, American Dirtbagger.
And this is Grant Bigley, California Strongman competitor.
Yep.
Sorry. Competitor.
Took third. First one.
Took third. First one, yeah.
Yep. Badass.
Yeah.
So, Grant, where'd you grow up?
Fallbrook, California.
Fallbrook, California.
Fallbrook, California, down by San Diego.
Elementary, high school, junior high, all that through there.
Yep, moved around quite a bit. Parents split up and got shuffled around to different schools. And yeah.
When did you get into being a giant?
It was actually Hulk Hogan when I was a kid. I was a very, very small kid all the way through high school. Until I got out of high school, I didn't actually sprout up at all. I was probably 115 pounds, like 5'4".
Dang.
In high school, senior year.
Dude, I can't
That
even.
was senior year?
Yeah.
Holy
I can't even imagine the small version of you.
No.
Yeah, I got
Especially that
pictures
small.
for sure. So I always wanted to be big. Not necessarily strong. I thought when you're younger, you think that big and strong are the same thing. And being a competitive strongman now, that's actually not accurate. But yeah, I always wanted to be big, and that was my go-to. Hulk Hogan, wrestling.
Hulk Hogan, wrestling. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people's. How tall are you now?
6 foot.
And how much you weigh?
Right now, about 270.
Yeah, that's the difference.
270, yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did his first strongman competition
Right.
Saturday. We went down and watched.
By the way, most of that's muscle. There's not much fat.
Yeah,
going
no,
on there.
no. I think less than 5%?
Yeah.
Somewhere 5-7%, something like that.
5 to 7%, yeah.
So when did you start hitting the weights and started down that journey of getting big? Was that after high school?
No, I lifted weights probably starting at 15, 16, somewhere in there. I didn't know what I was doing. I'd go to the gym like every teenager and hit bench press every single time I went to the gym because that's what girls like, right?
Yeah.
Bench press.
You can
bench
brag
press.
about that number too.
Yeah. Always been strong though. Always been able to lift more than anybody that I lifted with. So I guess I always had that in me. So I always lifted heavy in a bodybuilding sense, which is not typical. There's only a couple bodybuilders to speak of that ever really did like a powerlifting with their bodybuilding, because bodybuilding is more about hypertrophy and like time under tension, stuff like that. It's not really about max weights. So people would always ask me what I was training for, because my loads were significantly higher than what you would normally see, and I didn't ever have an answer for them. And then Brian Shaw, Eddie Hall, Nick Best, and I always forget the other guy's name. He always wears a shirt that says "Pretty in Pink." Big beast of a man. They put out a series on Netflix where they would go around the world to fabled lifts from like way back when. Like this guy purportedly lifted this thing, and did this with it. And there was one called the Denny Stones, which is in Scotland. They're in Potarch, very very small town outside of Aberdeen, and he went and he lifted them. They're 2 stones. One is over 400 pounds. One is over 300 pounds.
Jeez.
They're 733 pounds combined weight. They have like an iron pin driven into them, hand forged, and then a hand forged iron ring on each one. They're both completely different. Obviously, they're hand forged. They're from the 1800s, and there was a man. They used these stones as counterlevers for a bridge that they built right there. And there was a man named Donald Denny at the time who purportedly carried the stones the width of the bridge. So that's their fable
Neat.
thing. So Brian Shaw went over, and well, all of them did, to go lift the Denny stones and try to carry them as far as they could across the bridge. At the time, I want to say the record was like 6-7 feet, something like that anybody had, and he beat that record. It's since been beat, I think, twice. But anyway, I'm getting off track. I saw that, and I remember telling my wife, "That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to train for." And
So when was that? What?
that was
How long ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
Did you do any sports in high school or anything?
I did Little League baseball. That's about
Okay.
it.
Okay.
So we were planning a trip to Scotland anyhow, and it just kind of worked out. We went out there. I trained for that. In training, I herniated 2 discs, deadlifting like 765 or 785, somewhere in there. I thought I was done. I got a physical therapist, a really good one, and she got me back on track within like 3 months, and I've been good ever since. We went over there. I broke my thumb like 2 or 3 weeks prior to leaving, and you need to use what's called a hook grip on these stones because you're not allowed to use straps. Only the women are allowed to use straps, and so a hook grip is where you put your thumb underneath your fingers and kind of wrench it in, and it keeps the whatever you're lifting kind of locked into your hand. Obviously, with my thumb being broken, that wasn't a possibility. It was on my left hand, though, so that's the smaller of the 2 stones. So I just lifted it with my 4 fingers. And they were impressed with that. And it says it on my, I think it was number 207, I believe, in the world to lift the stones.
Oh, nice.
And
Really?
they put it in there on my thing that I lifted it with a broken thumb.
And how'd you break your thumb?
I was, up until recently, I was a welder fabricator. I worked at a rock quarry, so not just welding and fabrication, but rebuilt crushers, liners, pretty much everything to do with a rock quarry, conveyor belts. There's so much that goes on there. Every moving part, everything that's steel, we did. And I was down in a chute, probably maybe 12 feet down or so, welding patches because as you can imagine, the rock and everything going through the steel 24 hours a day just punishes the metal and puts holes in it. So we'll go through and we'll patch the holes, weld 1-inch Wearco steel to kind of blunt the impact on the main structures. And I was down there. Typically we'll have somebody down there welding, torching, and grinding, and then somebody outside of the chute taking measurements or receiving the measurements from, at this time, me, for the plates that I need, and they'll bring them down to be welded in.
Nice.
The person that was doing that for me actually was setting the plates on top of the entrance to the chute. It's called a discharge box, and I remember looking up and seeing him and thinking like, yeah, I really hope that when he swings his leg over, he doesn't knock one of those down, because a plate even 2 feet by 6 inches by 1 inch is probably every bit of 70 pounds.
Oh, man.
And
You're 12 feet down.
yeah, and I hear, oh,
Which you didn't want to hear.
and I just, when you hear that and you hear something banging on the way down, you just kind of like crunch up. I was in a position where I couldn't really do anything. You just kind of got to protect your neck. I've got a welding hood on, so if it hits my head, I'm pretty much fucked. But my hand was down, and they're very thick welding gloves. The plate landed on my thumb, and I pretty much knew that it was broke at that time. The heat came down so fast. Are you okay? Are you okay? I said, I don't want to talk to you right now. And he said, do you want to take your glove off? I said, I don't think you want me to take my glove off. I said, if I am not, the only thing I think about was the stones, because I've been training for like almost a year for this.
Jeez.
And I was so pissed. Went the neck. I thought, no, it still moves around. That night, I was kind of messing with it, and I went to wiggle it side to side, and the whole thing just kind of went over. And I was like, oh, it's not normal. So I went the next day and got an X-ray, and it was fractured in 2 places. So I was done. But I went. I ended up getting replica Denny Stone rings from Rogue Fitness. Because I thought I was done. My wife said, just get the replica rings and see, what it feels like. And I did, and I ordered them. I got them fast delivery. They came in like 2 days, and I set them up with nearly what the load required, and I still had it. So I was really happy. Went out there, lifted the stones. They were impressed with the lift and stuff like that. The next year, they invited me to compete in their Strongman event. It's not obviously not like a Strongman Corporation sanctioned event or anything like that. But
Which the one you just did was a sanctioned event, correct?
Yeah. This is
that you took third
So,
in?
real quick, back to the Denny Stones. So you said 277 people actually lifted.
At that time, it was it was under 230 people.
How many attempts?
I don't know the answer to that. There's a lot of failed attempts.
I'd figure that people are just, thinking I can do this.
I don't know if it's always been this way, but I had to qualify to be able to lift them.
Oh.
So that you have to show a 600-pound lift, whether it be a deadlift or a squat or a rack pull. You have to show that, just so that they weed out the people that are just coming out to be assholes.
Right.
That makes sense.
If you can lift 600 pounds, chances are that you're motivated enough to actually take it seriously and be able to do it. So when I was there, I'd say there was a pretty big list of people that were lifting them. I think all but like 2 or 3 were able to successfully lift them. Some of them are hard to tell, like the shorter guys, obviously, because you use a big straddle stance. Most people, you can do it side by side. Most people choose to straddle the stones and lift kind of in front and in back of you. And if you're shorter, the stones, by the time you get to the handle, I think they're 21 inches off the ground, the handle is. So it'll literally be like this far off the ground, and it's like, did it go, or
Putting feeler gauges underneath.
yeah, right, yeah, or did it just kind of wiggle? But yeah, I think that all but like 1 or 2 guys got it that day.
So
Nice.
that puts you in a kind of an elite category, I'm thinking.
Yeah, training for one lift it was anticlimactic.
Yeah.
It was great, but it made me want more so bad. I wasn't expecting them to come up so easily. I way overtrained. I trained to a point where I was.
It's like carrying 2
Is this
12
it?
packs.
Is this it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the first time I lifted them, they actually came up so fast I lost my footing. And one of the guys that was there that was going to do the lift that day said, "I thought you were going to throw them into the crowd." I was really just like, it could be adrenaline too. It's just one lift that you have to do though. Strongman is a whole nother animal.
So you went out the following year and did their competition out there?
Yeah, so they have a thing called the Gathering, which goes the same day as the Denny Stone lifts.
Okay.
They'll have some guys do the lift, and then they'll come back and do an event, and then they'll come back, and then they'll go back and forth like that. They have a women's and a men's as well. And I came back out. It's a natural stone event. They revolve everything around natural stone lifting. So like rather than Atlas stones, they use all natural stones to load onto the platforms.
Wow. Harder?
Yeah, well, they don't allow tacky. Everything has to be natural as it sits. So
Wow.
you can use chalk, and that's it. With a natural stone, though, they're a little more porous, so there is a little bit of purchase versus an Atlas stone that's very smooth.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Very hard to grip. Without tacky, those weights would not be possible for most people. They had the first event was a stone to shoulder. It was like a 240-pound stone that you have to, from floor to shoulder, has to be under control with one arm off, and then they'll give the down signal. You can drop it under control. You can't just let it go off your shoulder. And then pick it back up, put it on your shoulder as many times as you can. I had gotten so good with this at I trained with like a 260 or 270 Atlas stone. Night and day difference between a natural stone that's not a sphere. Because an Atlas stone, you can roll right up no matter what position it's in. It's round all the way. This stone, the men that are there that have been doing this for a long time know that there's a technique. The top surface is rounded, so you have to get that about to waist level, and then you can roll that up to your shoulder. If you drop it wrong or pick it wrong or start to roll it too early, then it's a nightmare and you fight to get it up there. I still I tied for second in that event, that first event. The next event was, I want to say, the nickel stone carry, which is basically a set of Denny stones that are slightly lighter to be carried for as long as you can. It's a max distance event. Just an absolute nightmare. I didn't know, but I should have worn my knee sleeves on my shins.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Will dig in and rip into your leg and pull your leg out from under you.
No shit.
Short strides, definitely for the win on that one. Didn't do great on that. Because of that, you're allowed to drop them one time and repick. But once you drop them, that's
lose momentum.
You might get like a couple more feet or so, but it's typically not anything great. Some of the guys did really well. There's a man named Chris Beetham. He goes by the Beef.
Beefem, like Beefem?
No, Beetham.
Oh, Beetham.
But they call him the Beef.
Right.
And he's a trainer. He's got a gym out there in Scotland. Very nice guy. I could tell he was going to be the winner from after the first event, pretty much. He's like their guy out there. He competes in like Scotland's Strongest Man, all that kind of stuff there, and he does fairly well. But he was being very helpful and very kind. Pretty much everybody there was like very opening or very, very welcoming. Which I thought was so weird because like I'm from California in the United States, and I'm here at like the local event, and I thought I was going to get a rough welcoming, and I didn't. It was very, very
who's this outsider coming in?
Yeah, but the Strongman, one of the things that like really drew me to it was participating in that event, and it's like a brotherhood. Like we're all strongmen. Like we're all a little fucked around in the head to be doing the things that we do. It's just not. Some of the stuff that we do is so nasty, is so gnarly, so painful, and we go 3-4 times a week to do it for fun.
Do you still stay in contact with the people you met in Scotland?
Yeah, Chris. I talk to him sometimes. He's gotten himself semi-famous now, so he doesn't have as much time. He does like a lot of online training as well as the training at his gym, and then himself, he's a competitor, so he has to. We're in competitive season right now, so he's preparing for different things. But I still talk to him. Stevie Shanks, his father's he's renowned out there for being like a strongman back in the day, and for the Denny Stones and all that. And he's a event coordinator for all that stuff. He also was one of the main judges at the Arnold Classic this year at the Strongman, because they travel with a set of Denny stones now. They made a replica set.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
So they'd use them for like a carry, and
Yeah.
so they had him there. Pretty cool to see that. He actually invited us to his house when he found out we were staying in Northern Ireland after the event. That's where he lives. He invited me, and we went out to his house and lifted some heavy shit
Nice.
for fun. And then the next night I went out to a local pub, the oldest pub in Northern Ireland, actually, Kelly's. Got drunk with him, drank a bunch of Guinness, and had a good time. So I was still in touch with him. He just actually messaged me, asked if I was going to be coming out this year, and I won't be able to. Unfortunately, I'm pretty involved. I've only got so many years left in Strongman,
Right.
and I want to make it as far as I can.
So I got a question. In your Strongman, it was your coach that was kind of emceeing it, right? Was that-
Yeah, he's he's responsible. His name's Scott Bringle. He's responsible for bringing Strongman to the West Coast from the East Coast.
Okay.
It's what his gym name is, East Coast, West Coast, Strength, Speed, and Conditioning. And so we lived in, we had moved from Huntington Beach to Menifee and purchased a home in the Inland Empire. We were out there for a few years. This is where I kind of started getting into Strongman. And had really no idea what I was doing. I didn't have a trainer. I thought trainers were extraordinarily expensive, and wouldn't be interested in really doing that, or who do you even talk to?
But if you don't lose your train of thought, Grant has a good concept of the muscles, the building, the eating, the whole thing. So I don't think he felt he needed one for what he was doing at the time.
Yeah, I had a good base. Going out and doing that event in Scotland was kind of an eye-opener. I took 5th out of 12.
Fuck, that's great.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a win, and that was a problem.
Very competitive.
So yeah, my question. So he mentioned that you're only. This is your first Strongman, and you've only been training for 3 months.
Yeah.
You've been training as long as I've known you, so there's definitely.
But not for Strongman.
That's why my question is. There's definitely a change in how
It is a
not just being strong.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, you think these big guys, like, okay, they're super strong. Like, absolutely not. The guy that won second place that beat me in California's Strongest Man is actually a lightweight. He's under 200 pounds. And he comes up in weight class because technique, athleticism, can beat out just moving mass. It's not about moving weight. It's about how you move the weight. People with an athletic background are leaps and bounds ahead of somebody who's just able to move weight, which is what I focused on. I thought that being the strongest person was going to be the best strong man, and that's absolutely not the case. You look at the world's strongest man right now, Mitchell Hooper. He's not the biggest guy by a long shot. When you look at him next to like Thor, who's 6'9", like 460 or something.
Is that his real name?
Yeah, it's,
But if that's what he says it is, at 6'9", something, yes.
I was going to say, when you're born and your name is Thor, you got a destiny.
Yeah. Mitchell Hooper's like 6 foot, maybe 6'1", like 300 something. So definitely on the small end of current strongman standards. And he's doing things, he'll probably be on top as long as he wants to. He's from Canada and he's just a monster. So it was an eye-opener for me. The athleticism needed, the movements, the conditioning, speed. These guys that come in with like football backgrounds, lacrosse, stuff like that, they're very good right off the bat. They take to the movements very quickly. And I'm getting there. My trainer assures me that after about a year that nobody will be able to touch me. I came in with really good base numbers, base strength. I have the mental capacity and commitment to my diet, I'm very strict about all that stuff. I don't have an issue with it. I blend up most of my meals.
What's your routine? Daily routine?
He does eat donuts whenever he gets a chance, though. Don't let him fool you.
Yeah.
He's a closet donut eater.
Well, I'm not a complete psycho. Yeah.
It's got to balance that.
Right.
It's good.
My daily routine is usually depends on if it's a work day or not.
So you're training today. What did you do today? Because as soon as Grant's done with this, he's going to training. And if you haven't known, Grant's my son-in-law and my oldest son-in-law and John's, lack of better words, nephew. So that's why we're asking all these questions. So yeah, what's your daily today workout?
So a day you don't have to work.
But you're working out.
Training routine.
So today's actually a bonus day. It's pretty cool since I'm out in this area. In the Inland Empire, there's a man named Sean Demarius that he's 4-time America's Strongest Man, and he trained out of the gym that I train in Costa Mesa, East Coast, West Coast. He came out for one of our event training days, and like the 14-year anniversary of the gym being open, to help out and like to hang out and stuff like that. And we got to talking, and I really took a liking to him, and I'm assuming he took a liking to me because he's been very helpful. Aside from my trainer told me, listen to everything that man tells you. He was one of the best middleweight strongmen to date. He still holds 2 records for the 105 kilogram weight class, a deadlift and a yoke carry. Say some ungodly yoke carry of like 1,000 pounds.
Wow.
Like no time flat. Just very good, very knowledgeable, and helpful. So since I'm out in this area, he moved from Mission Viejo to Temecula, and I said, hey, I'm going to be out there. Like he had mentioned getting together for some training. So I'm going to go back to my old gym today and get some bonus event work with him, some yoke. Obviously, he's got a record in that, so going to do some of that. Some stone work, Atlas stones, and we'll go from there. He said he's never been to that gym before, so he wants to see what they have before we can make any determination how that's going to go. As far as my routine on a non-work day, it goes wake up. Usually I'll wake up slower on a non-work day, so I'll have a whey isolate protein shake just to stop my body from eating itself, because no matter what you eat before you go to bed, by the time you get up you're fasting, and that means that your body's breaking down muscle for amino acids and fuel, and you want to stop that immediately. So fast acting protein, get that in there, or at least branched chain amino acids until you make your next meal. Today we were in a bit of a rush, so if I'm on a timed thing, I'll have a smoothie that consists of.
There you go. That's what I wanted to know what it consists of.
It's got 16 ounces of liquid egg whites, a banana, a cup of frozen organic blueberries, a cup and a half to 2 cups of cooked oats, 2 tablespoons of fish oil, and another scoop of whey protein, and that's mostly for flavor.
Because that sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's pretty tasty, so that'll be that. When I got here, I had rotisserie chicken and a minute rice. That's not typical. Usually I make these things called chicken blenders. I have to
They're
eat.
gross.
Yeah, they're
Chicken and blender.
Listen,
right there.
yeah, listen. Go ahead. How do you do it? I tried one once.
So strongman bodybuilding, like you have to eat a lot to maintain and to grow. So you're constantly every 2 to 3 hours putting in more food. And I tried, and maybe I'm a bitch. I don't know, because a lot of guys are able to do it. I'm not. I can't. I feel like a fucking cow. My jaw gets sore chewing that much. It's just insane.
Yeah.
So I saw a video. I don't even remember who put it out on YouTube, but he was making fun of people who can't eat their meals, and he's like, "Here you go," and he threw like some salmon and some rice and stuff in a blender, and I think he put it in like a wine glass just to make fun, and like And I was like, oh my God, dude, I can do that. That's no problem. Like, I've definitely
See, most
eaten
people are
worse
getting
than
grossed
that.
out. He gets enlightened.
Yeah, no, so I tried it because I worked out with him for a little bit until I hurt myself. But and so I told him I couldn't eat that much, and he says, "Well, you're not going to get big." So I tried one of those drinks, 2 sips, threw it away.
So,
Gross.
Sundays, meal prep day. My wife, God bless her, because I would not have gotten this far if it wasn't for her, for a lot of reasons. But sorry.
That's all right.
But she helps me meal prep on Sunday. We'll go typically get 12 to 15 pounds of chicken breast from the butcher.
For 1 week.
Yeah, and we'll cook all of that in the oven. Just the easiest way. I've tried barbecuing it, but it gets like kind of hard, like edges and stuff, which is not good for a blender. Just throw it in the oven. I will cube that all up, all the chicken. Huge thing of cubed chicken, and we'll measure it out, 2 cups each, put them in Ziploc bags, and put all those in the freezer. And then each day, whatever I'm going to use for the next day, I pull out into the fridge, the Ziploc bags. I do the same thing with white pasta. That blends the best. Rice does not blend well, and I don't like it. I'm tired of rice.
Nice.
So I'll use white pasta, depending on what time of day it is. If it's like pre-training, then I'll eat a simple carb, a white carb. Like a white potato works great too. Yukon potato, something like that. Golden potatoes, they're great for blending. If it's just my regular meals throughout the day, it'll usually be sweet potato or a wheat pasta. And I put that I'll put the 2 cups of chicken, I'll put 2 cups of some kind of carb, and 32 ounces of water, blend it up, and I usually make them and I put them in like a 64-ounce tumbler, and so that I have them ready to drink. Because the biggest problem that people have with maintaining their diet is you're tired from training, and if you have to have a job as well, you're extra tired, you're lethargic sometimes, and you just don't fucking feel like making the food.
Right.
So meal prep is everything for a competitive anything in fitness.
So you prep out about a week.
Yeah, I
a week
prep out the full week.
Every Sunday, yeah.
Even the shakes.
Yeah, the shakes, yeah.
Every Sunday is meal prep day. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why
so-
we're honored. He's here on a Sunday,
Yeah.
Early because he's got to go to his training. So we're doing this with coffee instead of cigars and whiskey. And plus, he's going to training, so he wouldn't do cigar and whiskey with us today, anyways. But yeah, it's craziness.
So the breakfast I'll make as well the night before, the smoothie. That's I don't have any excuses.
How's that taste?
The smoothie's great. The chicken blenders, I just learned not to breathe out my nose and just drink it.
It's
and then
fucking gross.
you don't taste anything. If you do taste it, to be perfectly honest, it tastes like chicken soup gone wrong. You can even mix chicken broth rather than water, and then it actually does taste like chicken soup. I don't do that, but so probably 60% of my meals are blended, and then nighttime, I almost always have red meat against my trainer's recommendation. He doesn't want me to eat that much red meat. That much red meat is not really good for you. It works well with my body, and I really, really like it, so I'm not going to change it. You should eat a leaner meat, as it inhibits digestion and stuff like that. I did implement a salad with that, which he got me started on with like quality olive oil. That's a big thing that I changed. So more salad and greens. I will throw frozen spinach, broccoli, stuff like that in my blenders too. For that, or at least take like a super greens supplement, because that's important, anti-inflammatory and stuff like that. So my nighttime meal I enjoy. I sit down, I eat it slowly. Usually, like I said, red meat, whether it be burger, sirloin. I'm very fond of ribeyes and fillets. I don't think anybody isn't that likes red meat. But then Also, before bed, I'll have some kind of very slow digesting protein, casein, usually with milk, to help keep me sustained as long as possible throughout the night. There's no stopping you from going into a fasting mode unless you got up in the middle of the night and like drank a shake or something, but then you're losing out on sleep, and that doesn't make any sense.
That's crazy. So
See, I go for the fasting mode.
right, yeah, so same here, yeah. So you have an Instagram channel.
Yeah,
What is it?
it's a big block 1024.
Big Block 1024. Follow him, support him a little bit. He's just looking for people to support and cheer him on. And your next competition, do you know when it is?
So for sure, I'm going to do Coachella's Strongest Man. That's in November. I believe it's November 3rd. The events have not been posted for that yet, but they're usually pretty good. Usually have some good stuff there. And we're going to try to find something for June or July as well. So about every 3 to 4 months, I'm going to try to have a competition. And we're going to get it so that I'm completely dialed and I don't get any type of jitters or make any crucial mistakes like I did that cost me the W at California Strongest Man. Just some rookie things that didn't need to happen, and that happens through experience. You know,
Sure.
he said it when he gave me the 3rd place. He said, he expected to win this thing. He said, but you got to get beat down on a little bit by the veterans, and their experience showed. And I had some rookie errors that, like I said, they cost me.
You know what was nice about that, though? Because we watched it. We were there cheering him on in the rain. By the way, my feet hurt for 2 days, but that's okay. I'm just kidding. My feet really did hurt. But what I really enjoyed about it is that it was a competition, but you all were cheering for each other, even though you were competing against them.
Yeah.
You're like, I want you to do the best you can.
Yep.
And I think my theory is you want to beat the best. So therefore you're going to cheer them on.
Yeah, well, that goes back on what I said about what brought me into Strongman. There's nobody else that's like that. Bodybuilders, they'll wear huge clothes in the gym just so that their competitors can't see what they look like throughout the off season.
Right.
They don't know where they're at and stuff like that. Like all these people that I'm competing against, I was able to find them on Instagram and see exactly where they're at. I knew I was going to place in the top 3, and I had a pretty strong inkling that it was going to be the placement that it was going to be. It doesn't mean that I wasn't trying to win, and I could have won. But I knew where my standings were based on where everybody was on their in their training. Strongman is a brotherhood, and it's like you said, like myself as well as all the competitors, even the ones that I was close with throughout the day, are cheering for you to push harder, to go faster, not to stop. And it's like it's the best feeling. This guy that wants to beat you is cheering for you to do better, and it's like, and it's just a really cool deal. Yeah, and like you said, the guy that took 1st place, he was injured. Probably he had some bad injury issues throughout the last year. And when he came to our gym, a lot of guys will come through towards the end, right before the competition, to start training with the implements that are going to be used in CSM, like the Conan's wheel, things that they don't have at their gym, so they can get a feel for them.
Sure.
Our Farmer's Walk tanks are notorious. They're the most uncomfortable things to have to carry. They're different than any implement for Farmer's Walk that there is. The unloaded 250-pound tanks might as well be 320. They're just ungodly. They bump against your legs.
Yeah.
You'd watch it.
So people want to come and check all that stuff out. Or people like him. I think he's won 2 or 3 California Strongest Men so far. He came through and he was talking to me, and he's like, yeah, you're probably going to walk away with this event. And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to have to take a 0 on the stones. I'm not going to be able to do the stones because of this and this. And I was like, oh, fuck, dude. Like, that sucks. Like, nobody's trying to beat you at 80%.
Right.
I didn't really beat that man then.
Right.
So he was just signing up on the roster just for numbers, because at that time we didn't have a big middleweight. People signed up at the very end. So he was just doing us a solid. And to do that, it's really cool of him. But at the same time, to have him not at 100%, it wouldn't have felt right beating him. So he was good. And about a week after he came to our gym, he wrote me a message. This just shows the type of character that the man is. He wrote me a message and said, hey, I just want to let you know, I just loaded, I think, a 300-pound stone. So I think I'm good for the event. I don't want to be a jerk and show up at the event and say that I was going to take a 0 and then end up being able to do the whole competition. And I was like, hey, bro, like,
Nice.
I wasn't going to take it easy on you anyway. I don't care if you're going to take a 0 or not. Anything can happen.
Right.
Maybe I get injured halfway through and I have to take a 0 on that. Now we're down to the first 4 events.
Right.
So, but a good dude. His name's Andrew Mock.
Tall, very tall man.
Yep.
Tall.
Yeah. Now, are these going to be the same people when you go to Coachella? Is that the same group of people? You get to experience different.
I mean, there's so many events to participate in, but there are certain ones that you're going to see the same guys throughout. I think I asked him if he had any insight on the events and stuff like that the other day, and we talk. So he. I got an indication that he's going to probably be in Coachella, but probably as a heavyweight. I think that Coachella's numbers, their like weight numbers, are typically a little bit lower than other events.
And what weight class do you compete in?
I'll be in heavyweight now.
Oh, you will?
So I had to cut down for this last event, and I don't ever want to do that again. I would rather be the loads are not that substantially different from middleweight to heavyweight, but being able to carry an extra 20 or 30 pounds on my frame comfortably, not have to worry about what I'm eating or constantly checking the scale to make sure that I'm going to make weight. Some of these guys, one of the guys who trains at our gym, his name's Blake Hoffman, very talented strongman, and has helped me out a lot with certain things. One of which was keg toss, bag toss, which I won at the event.
Nice.
You did, yeah.
That's kicking.
By the way, the only technique I see you need on that is just to be damn strong.
No,
I know there's probably more than that.
Yeah, that's actually one of the most
watching
technical,
those things fly.
Yeah, that's actually one of the most technical things of the day. It requires a triple extension, and it's where the keg is released, where your head has to be looking back at the uprights. There's a lot to it, and I took to that pretty well with Blake's help. So Blake, I got off track. Where was it?
Yeah, John, you got him off track.
Right.
Same people. Heavyweight.
Oh, so he's a middleweight. Always has been a middleweight. Which he got. I watched his story. He just competed at a pro-am in Colorado. A big deal. A lot of professionals there. And I watched his story like the day before at weigh-ins, and he was down to like 230. I think it was 231 on the money. And then the next day, or even after weigh-ins, I can't remember, but it was no more than a day where he got back up to like 255.
Wow, that's a lot of cut.
Oh yeah, and just like watching what he's eating, like he like posted a whole box of Krispy Kreme donuts.
That'd be fun. That'd be the fun part.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, God, I can't even remember the stuff that he was eating, but pizza. And I was like, is that the trick to is that pre-contest? And he's like, hey, whatever works. Yeah, to see him cut that much and then go back up, it's got to be be hard. So that's another dedicated individual to his trade. Some people will never be able to He's a little shorter than me. I'd say probably somewhere around like 5'10" and his frame is like maxed out. He's
What's the cutoff in the middle to heavyweight?
231 is the cutoff.
231. Okay,
Yeah.
so he just
Barely
can run
makes it.
underneath.
And then some have heavyweight and super heavyweight. I think that Coachella has that. So it'll be under 265 heavyweight, and then super heavyweight is above. I believe that was the cutoff. And I would do pretty well in the 265. That would be a very small cut, not a big deal.
Yeah.
And I would be at the very top of that food chain because I could go to 275 and cut 10 pounds, no problem, and then come back in very heavy for the show. But he's a very talented individual when it comes to cutting.
Cool.
Some people just can't. If he went to heavyweight at 255 or even like 265, you're going to be at the bottom of these. Some of these dudes are 300, 350, you know.
That's crazy.
Or world's strongest men, they're 400 plus pounds. So not a good place to be in.
Cool.
Right.
Hey, so it's 11. I think you
So
gotta get
yeah,
out of
let's
here, right?
let's do this.
So one more time, Instagram. before we
Instagram, give
go,
your Instagram, give a shout out to everybody that you want to hear this. We'll have Sean put some information on there. And then if possible, can we do another one with you? And I'd love to share, if you don't mind, your story of to where you're at, the
pretty
journey you
incredible.
took. It's an incredible
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
So fucking successful. Such a great guy.
And inspiring.
Great husband, great dad, great son-in-law. Very fucking inspiring. So we'd love to get you out of here for a second one and hit that part if you don't mind. But I thought this was really critical to hit first. So.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So shout out your Instagram and whoever else you want to give a yell out to.
Oh, it's just a big block, BIGBLOCK 1024. That's my wife and I's anniversary.
Make sure you can't forget that.
Aw.
So I guess I'll just give a shout out to East Coast, West Coast Strength, Speed, and Conditioning. That's my guy, Scott Bringle. He's the one that's going to make me successful here and give me the tools that I need. Obviously, my wife, she's he calls her my handler. There's a select few people.
And if you see their dynamic, you understand
You'll
that
understand.
completely.
Anytime that I something up, it's where's your handler?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
And
we're going to say peace.
We're done. All right.